There can be only one podcast, and may it be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lisa the lesbian. I'm Wes.
Obviously, the incredibly talented Robin is with us.
Hi, thanks for having me, guys.
Nantucket Robin is as her new name is.
I was Penelope.
Yep.
Now I'm Nantucket Rob.
Nantucket Rob. There you go. There you go. That works. And we're going to talk about a subject that I thought you would maybe like.
Okay.
And I thought but you said you didn't have as much to say here.
I'm just going to add
You're gonna riff off
small
what we say.
tidbits, kind of like I did on the last podcast that Rob had.
What?
Should we get Heath Futch back? Is that what you're saying?
Nope.
I think
Anyway, so how this topic came up for me, forgotten bands in the 90s. I have seen this a lot in the past year. Maybe my eyes have just been blind. I haven't been paying attention. But kids, high school, middle school kids even, are wearing Nirvana shirts.
Oh, old
Like,
school.
everyone's wearing Nirvana shirts.
I think you just haven't been paying attention.
I haven't been paying attention, obviously. Okay?
We're vintage.
But there's more bands than just Nirvana.
Yep.
Now, I'll be honest. Back in the 90s, people were wearing Grateful Dead, right? And I'm sure there's some older guy that was my age back then in the 90s going, there are other bands than the Grateful Dead.
Right.
And so I kind of wanted to talk about that today, about bands that we know of, but the kids may not know of, which I think they would enjoy,
Right.
you know? So that's kind of those forgotten 90s. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Yeah, because I always want to ask the kid, do you know who that is? But I think, well, maybe they had parents who listened to them, and that's where they got it. But was Nirvana really that big? Because I remember probably
I think
Unplugged
you
was probably...
definitely. We have had this talk in this podcast many times, and you, for some reason, you just don't see the correlation for that cultural movement.
I don't.
It didn't resonate with you.
It didn't resonate with me as much. But
You were too squeaky clean.
If-
You were raised well.
I didn't hate Nirvana.
I know, but you were raised well.
Okay. Well,
I think I was across the board. I got old country. I got Amy Grant. I've got, the Christian. I got everything, except I wasn't into the,
who's old country? Give me some examples.
Sammy Kershaw.
Yeah, please check your notes.
What are you talking about?
How'd you know I was going to talk about old country here?
John Michael Montgomery.
Okay.
Hey, pretty lady, won't you give me a sign?
I don't-
Do your bid. You remember that song?
No, I don't know country.
Oh, you don't know country?
No.
Old country is my fave.
Okay.
Cuckoo and I one time performed karaoke together, and at the end of it, before he bowed out, he said, "Country sucks,"
He did not.
and they told him, "We do not want your services for the rest of the night."
As they should have.
And a friend of ours that was there raised enough hell that kind of frightened everybody that he almost got back on stage.
Well, it's like the age of like Fancy came out in the 90s. Reba, like those big songs that are actually still kind of big songs.
Where were you living at when this came out?
In the 90s, I was in Dallas and in Spring, Texas, and then Dallas, Texas. And then, I'm trying to think, Houston. So it's all Texas.
So that had a lot to influence
Maybe.
You were not in Taiwan.
No, I was not in Taiwan.
No.
No. What happened?
That's not.
Anybody-
You gonna let her talk to you like that? I don't-
Anybody Thai out there? I just counted to 10 for you. You're welcome. There you go.
Same magic tricks, different podcast.
I can count to 10 in French and Spanish too, guys. Just so you know.
You know, my little girl hits a balloon. She's like, "Look, Daddy, I did it!" And then she hits the balloon again and goes, "Look, Daddy, I did it!"
I did it.
Yep.
Yep, I saw. I saw. That's how I respond back to her. I say, "I saw." Yes, Daddy's watching.
So in the 90s, when you were enjoying this country music, tell us a little bit about your sense of style then. What were you influenced by?
Oh gosh.
Oh, look at him bringing the questions.
Well, that was when videos were out. Like, you'd see the videos for these country videos and stuff.
TNN, the
Correct.
Nashville network.
Yes, CMT, and all that. But I remember my it's kind of funny. I went to Dallas Baptist University, and my first day of school, I wore a wife beater, like white tank top, Daisy Duke cutoff shorts, and cowboy boots. And I walked into the cafeteria, and that's where one of my girlfriends, who I ended up becoming best friends and roommates, she said, "You walked in like you had come off a shoot." And I was like, "Oh, I'm at Dallas Baptist. This is not," because I was dressed for a Friday. Let's go to Willie
Robin,
Nelson's.
have you always carried yourself as this innocent one that's here to steal the party?
What do you mean? I am innocent.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said, I walked into this Baptist school
Yeah, I
wearing a wife beater,
Well,
Yeah.
in my mind,
Daisy Duke shorts,
because it was my normal wear, but
and
then I
cowboy
realized
boots.
I
In
was like,
school?
well, I was in the cafeteria. I wasn't in class or anything, but I just walked in and I remember.
You had wardrobe changes in between class?
I mean, sometimes, yeah. That's what girls do, Moth. That's what we do.
I don't remember any of that in public school. I remember cigarette breaks in the bathroom, and that's about as cutting edge as they got. They did not have wardrobe changes.
No, I think it just depended on the
Much
year.
less Daisy Dukes in the 90s
when
and
I'm
high
saying
school.
that, those jean cutoffs. Like, I would take my brother's jeans, and he grew, he was like Forrest Gump. He finally all of a sudden grew, and his knees had braces, and so he was like, all his jeans were high waters on him. So I took all of his jeans and made shorts out of them. And so that was kind of like my wardrobe. I mean, I recycled. Yeah. Yeah. I went through a couple of different phases. I went through a tight phase. I went through a really baggy phase. It depended on what was
Was that
the
year
thing.
and you had your eating disorder and you wore baggy clothes?
First of all, never had
I think
that.
the baggy phase was grunge.
Okay.
That was total grunge.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There was no.
I enjoyed grunge.
I could eat yeah. I was going to say what I could eat, but I'll stop.
Lisa the lesbian.
No. Reference to the last post.
Okay, so
Yes. So you
Okay.
wore Daisy Dukes to class. You met your friend,
Yeah.
and she said,
She
"Who are
said,
you?
Wow. Would you look at you?
Have you ever been to school before?"
Okay, that wasn't my norm. It
did
just
you
was,
change?
I was thinking it was cute. And then I realized
Okay.
quickly that wasn't the norm at that campus. So
Okay.
we changed that up. Yeah.
Okay. So after that, what did you go toward instead of Daisy Duke?
Golly. You know what? It was whatever was on sale at close time, at the mall. It was just, whatever was trendy. I mean, I
Okay.
was just more of I was like a keep up with the trends kind of girl, for sure.
Okay.
But you were worldly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
So you brought a list of people have forgotten. Let's hear a few of them.
Okay. Are we going to stick with country or just anything?
Well, I was not specific in my request, so anything.
I think you can go with country.
go for it.
Okay.
Anything you want.
Well, with country, some of the
What
things.
was 90s country to you?
It was,
Achy breaky heart.
Strawberry Wine, Dina Carter.
Now, Caitlin said
That
her
was a big one.
first
Strawberry
crush
Wine?
was Billy Ray Cyrus.
I think a lot of that's not abnormal because back then
Because she was about 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old.
everyone loved his song. It's funny how, he's been eclipsed by his daughter now, but back in the day, no one was at a time hotter than I
Oh,
guess
for
in looks,
sure.
but in music too.
For sure.
He was the big show.
It's funny because I had to go back because I'm really good at remembering the songs when they're playing. But I'm like, wait, who sang that? What was it
Right.
called?
No, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did
I
that.
was playing, and this may be a 2000 one. I did not look this up. But I was playing Fuel, the band. Mm-hmm. And
That's
my wife
late
kept
90s.
going. My wife kept going, "Who is that?" I was
Yeah.
like, "What? Who are you listening to?" Because I play music when I'm cleaning up in the kitchen. She's like, "Who is
Wasn't their
that?" I
first
knew
album
all the-
Sunburn or something like that?
Yeah, and so I was listening to Shimmer, Bad Day, all this other stuff, and she's like, "I know them." I said, "Yeah, it's Fuel." I was like, but she had totally forgotten. She's like, "Fuel," and I was like, "Oh, yeah." But then it also made me realize people just don't remember. Like, for me, Presidents of the United States was another one that yesterday I listened to that first album, every song, just banger, man. It was just great. It sung out, and then of course, then I realized, everyone, the presidents, man, they're sneaky. They'll they'll drop that F-bomb.
Oh.
They won't say it. They ain't like the Beastie Boys or Rage Against the Machine. They let it go and then they move on. But when they let it go, they drop down that hammer, and of course the kids are in the car. So
Of course.
oh well.
Well, they know. They've heard that word. I've been
Oh well,
here.
at school.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
That's where they saw Daisy Dukes for the first time.
That's true.
Probably.
That's true. All right, but
Shania Twain. That's where my love for her began. Whose bed have your boots been under? Remember that song? Whose
Okay.
bed have your boots been under?
okay, yes. Is that what she's saying?
That's what. Yes. What did you think she was saying? Right?
No, I don't remember.
Who looked like our ex-boss's wife at that time.
Really?
Wayne.
At the mall.
Yes.
We all were at the mall.
She
I
now.
love that so
That's
much.
who you thought she looked like.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Sometimes though, you have said things about some people, and then I'm like, "What
I
were
could-
you?"
I
But
could-
to Wes's defense,
Like-
she was very beautiful.
Okay. Well,
I
that's,
could not feel stronger about anything than I do right now.
What about one-hit wonders? What about one-hit wonders of the '90s? Like,
Okay, so keep going. I'm listening.
Well, no. Who was it? Deep Blue something. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that one. It's funny because those type of songs, if that song came on again, would I listen to it? Because I hated it when it came out. Like, I still hate Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh, I have a Hootie story.
Well, go ahead. I walked into that one.
No, it's kind of funny. I mean, I went to a Hootie and the Blowfish concert when I was 18, and I also at the time, I think I had turquoise contacts. I I laid in tanning bed. I bleached my teeth, so I know I just glowed in the dark. Like I was
Okay.
just whatever. Well, his manager, somebody pulled me backstage, and Hootie asked me out, and I panicked because I was like,
Darius Rucker.
Darius, otherwise known as Darius. At the time, he was just Hootie. And he asked me out, and I turned him down because I was scared out of my mind to be asked out by a grown-up.
But he was going to love you the best that he can.
I probably could have. However, here, fast forward to just like 4 years ago.
He called again?
No, my oldest daughter.
That Darius Rucker is relentless.
She worked she was a golf cart girl at the Texas Rangers golf course, and she was doing some tournament, whatever, star tournament. And she knew that story, and Darius Rucker comes up and asks for a Gatorade, and she just happens to say, "Hey, so you asked my mom out when she was 18," and she was like, "Back when you were Hootie," and she said, he goes, "Did she look like you?" And she goes, "I'm like identical to her." He goes, "Yeah, I did." And then he gave her like $100 for a Gatorade, and she was like, "Mom, I scored a tip." So that was kind of cool. Isn't that fun?
You remember the last time you gave $100 for a Gatorade?
I can't say I recall,
Yeah.
but
Because if I ever got $100, I'd tell my mom it was a Gatorade.
Okay, you
All
know
right.
what? First of all, she took a selfie.
What? I just said. That's a good tip.
That was a good tip. She goes, "All he
That's
had
what
was
he
a
said.
Gatorade." That's what he said. Okay, what about this? Was funny to me. Spin Doctors.
That was
two
one I had
princes-
too.
two
That's one I
princes-
had too.
Get it?
That was
Princes of
excellent.
the-
Yes.
Okay, two
we got
princes.
it.
Okay.
No, but that's one I had written down as well.
Yeah. I thought that was cool.
I thought they were really good. They've been forgotten.
Yeah. Creed.
I said Creed,
Higher.
and people don't realize how big Creed was. Now, here's the thing.
Huge.
Back in the day, I hated them because, when someone played it on the radio a billion times, which they played every Creed song, hated it. Now, when I have it on a 90s mix or whatever, I'll let Creed play because it just reminds me. That one, those songs I don't mind anymore by Creed.
Well, you know what's funny? I heard a fun fact Monday today, and it was about that song "Higher" by Creed, and he was big on making songs up like on the fly, and apparently he sang that song, and they heard it. Somebody heard it, and then they made him go record it, and then it got big. But he made it up, so it wasn't even like a song they had recorded. He like made it up on the fly, and and then it became a huge hit, and then that's what got them famous. Was that song?
Do you know, I went, my buddy was a big, Bruce's younger brother, was a huge Creed fan. And we went. I did not want to go, but I loved going to concerts back then. So I said, okay, I'll go with you. And the band that opened for them, and I haven't even checked this, you just made me think about it, was called Finger 11. And they were really good. And we both, and even that night when we walked away, I was going to tell him something that was going to piss him off. Say, hey, look, I know you're going to be pissed off when I say this, but Finger 11 was a way better band than Creed tonight. And he went, they were. I'm getting their CD. So we went and got their CD and listened to it. And every time there's a new one came out, we call each other.
Where are they at now?
I don't know. I don't know.
Could buy them in Fingerhut magazine.
They were on, they were on one of the WWE The Music albums. So
Okay.
they were getting known a little bit there. I don't think they ever broke out big, but they were super good. But I thought he's gonna be so mad. And yeah, I'm gonna start an argument with him because he knows they didn't like Creed. But I said Finger Love was so much better. He goes, they were.
Has there
That
ever
was
been a
great.
concert that you've been to, other than that, where you felt like the opener blew you away? You weren't expecting it?
Yes, and I cannot remember the name of the band.
Was there ever like a big major band that like made it big like shortly thereafter? The reason I ask, I went to a show in New
Nickelback
Orleans.
opened for Three Doors Down back in the day, and I thought they were okay, and was shocked that they took off
Okay,
like they
that's
did.
a pretty big deal.
Yeah. But they opened up. They were the opener for Three Doors Down. If you remember Three Doors Down, which
Yeah.
is another
Yeah.
one of the 90s.
I saw there was a punk band called Bad Religion that played at Tipitina's in New Orleans, which closed shortly thereafter because that's where they found Shannon Hoon, the singer of Blind Melon, dead.
What?
But Korn opened for them, which was a
Wow.
total
Was it
different.
that corn with a K?
It was that Korn.
Yeah. They were
Who
really...
invited Robin's mom?
Wow. 311 was another band on my thing that had a few hits on their first album, maybe one on their second. They made more albums which were decent but kind of fell away. Better Than Ezra was another one that came out with the first, hit album. Came out with many other albums too that I listened to, but
My
Better Than
classic,
Ezra is
my
really
classic karaoke song, Wilson Phillips. Hold on. Okay, that was
Wilson
total-
Phillips.
That's a whole.
That's a good one
pivot,
because
that's a
people know the
pivot.
Beach Boys, but they don't know that their daughters got together and created some good songs. That was a good one.
Oh yeah.
That and Hold On and Daniel. They covered Daniel from Elton John. Have you heard their cover? Oh, it's excellent. I love it better than Elton
I
John's.
have to play it sometime.
Oh, it's excellent. Yeah.
That was the time of like Spice Girls though, TLC,
Still don't care about any of
Smashing
those bands.
Pumpkins.
I hated them back in the day. I might listen to one of their songs now.
You remember Lisa Loeb?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stay. She was great. I loved her.
You need to listen. Newfound Glory the punk band covered the song "Stay," but got her to come back and record on the album with them singing.
Really?
Yeah,
Did
they
not
take
know
turns
that.
singing the
wow.
lyrics. It's a really good version of it.
That's cool.
What was your
Keep
first
going, I'm loving it.
concert, Robin?
Oh,
My very first concert,
Yes.
I think it was Hootie,
Hootie and the
Blowfish.
Blowfish.
I think it was that or Steve Miller Band. It was one of the two.
What happened at the Steve Miller Band show?
I remember being very stressed out because I was never, believe it or not, mothball. I was a very good girl, was not a partier, but I enjoyed going to places, but I was scared to death because I knew I would get in trouble because I had really strict, parents. And I remember smelling skunk at this Steve Miller Band concert. And I remember being like, oh, Lee, it stinks so bad. And then I remember just secondhand feeling sick, just being like, what is this? And realizing there was people doing the things around. And so I remember just being like, it was a lot. It was a lot. I was a very young, I feel like 18-year-old who wasn't.
Really? I bet.
Wasn't used to. I really wasn't. I wasn't
I didn't
around.
know I couldn't wear these shorts to
Shut
school.
your mouth. I'm about
Okay, so okay, go on.
I didn't. I mean, I knew after that time. I knew. I learned quick.
Okay.
I'm You're making me feel bad.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
I know. Remember Mandy Moore? That's when she came out with the song Candy. Do y'all remember that one? Y'all probably didn't know the little.
I remember
Teeny
Mandy
Bopper. I remember
Moore
that one.
coming out, but I don't remember
I
listening.
remember another girl, Shanice, I believe was her name, and she did the song "I Love Your Smile."
Oh, I
Do you
that's
remember it?
yeah.
That was I love that song back
That
in the
is
day.
a good one. Do you know what was your makeout song? Do y'all have your '90s makeout song? Because I know.
Wes?
Edward McCain. That was mine and Melissa's song when we first met.
Okay, mine was Return of the Mac.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you
I
did.
feel like it should have been Brian Adams, Rod Stewart,
Mine was Return
any
of
of
the Mac.
those other. Who was the other crooner from the '90s who did the Musketeers? Sting. You know.
No diggity.
Well, is that Bobby Brown?
Remember the bands like even Eazy-E? These kind of horrible. Like there was a lot. Do you remember?
Ooh, Eazy-E.
Yeah.
You listen to Eazy-E.
I-
Country gal, listen to Eazy-E.
I knew a little bit of each. I kind of had a
She
little.
could count to
Did
10
you go
on
cruising
the
down the
NWA
street
record.
in my 6'4"? Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember Poison by Belle Biv DeVoe?
Yes.
No. That girl is poison.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that one
Yeah.
now. Yeah. See, I didn't know the band, but that's one even I forgot.
Yeah, Belle Biv. Gosh, that was also Boys to Men. That was boy band era. All of those. There's so many. So, see, I wasn't like into the techno. I was more like, if I was with my parents, I was Christian and country. If I was with my girlfriends, I was literally just, Return of the Mac kind of stuff. So it just depended.
Kind of like now.
Kind of like now. Yeah. Actually,
Which mask are you going to wear today?
you know what? I actually listen to more books on Audible than anything else.
And
right
we've
now.
heard.
I know.
We've heard where you have to turn those down because the sound effects.
Sorry.
Wow.
You don't smell fire, but you smell something else and you realize your kids are up to no good.
Uh-oh.
So, yes. See, that's where
Whose diapers
all
have your
the
bed
stuff
been
I
under?
see, the last thing they got into is up there too. It's been my cubbyhole for taking things away from them. They get into that bathroom.
That's so funny.
So, anyway,
Anywho.
other ones. Go ahead.
Shoot. I'm trying to remember. Do you remember All My Life by Casey and JoJo?
Wow.
Close to me, you're like my father. Close to me.
That's a good
You
one.
remember that one?
That's a good one. You don't remember that one? I remember that one.
All
Sorry.
My life.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that song.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's like if you're getting your medicine in CVS, you hear that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I had fun though. I had fun like thinking about songs like this because it did make me go back. It made me go and music really does like
It made you go,
it makes you go, yeah, and it made me have these memories of different things like what I was doing.
What was your favorite memory that you conjured up?
My best friend Ashley's mom had a car we called Coche Rojo. And it was this big like Cadillac, red Cadillac that the brakes didn't work sometimes and we never knew if it was out of gas because the gas thing didn't work and I just remember we were going down and two of my friends, we called ourselves the Oreos and we were singing like,
Why would you call yourself Oreos and you're blonde?
well, I was the cream.
Oh.
They were the cookies. And so we were going down the road in Coche Rojo and we were singing along. And we were singing along and the Coche Rojo, like literally I don't even know what happened. I mean, it's like I remember songs we were singing and exactly what happened in that moment. It was,
What happened?
You get
Well, we jumped out of the car before it crashed. We were fine. It's all fine. I
wow.
mean, yeah.
You can remember there are certain songs for me too. Color Me Bad.
Yes.
All for Love
Uh-huh.
was I remember we were first really listening to the radio a lot. And whenever that song came out, we were just like all excited. You'd listen and wait. And this is when we were at the beach. There was a radio downstairs and we had the room to ourselves. So we'd listen to the radio. Back in the day, we used to sit around, listen to the radio and talk.
Oh, yeah.
And you tell them to be
'Cause you
quiet
would
and turn up your
record it,
song.
yeah.
Or record it on the tape player. That's correct, which is also really fun. My brother got a live. They used to one of the radio stations was live recording a
live remote.
live remote, and so you could hear all the live version of some of our favorite bands. And I remember he recorded that whole concert, and we listened to that tape because it was our favorite bands, but the songs were live and they just sounded different, and it just sounded like on an epic scale. And I remember thinking, wow, what a smart idea to capture this concert on tape, because usually the tape was just there for the regular, when you were ready to hear that radio.
Yeah.
But then you'd also,
You have to wait around for that song.
but
to
you'd
come back.
also going, and so the song starts, but the DJ is still talking right here on 93. You're
Wouldn't that
like,
make you
dude,
so-
shut up.
Exactly.
Shut up.
Or they
But-
would come in at the end and start talking over the
Yeah.
end, and the end would be like that one note you wanted to finish
Yeah.
off strong.
But every time you listen to your mixtape, it'd say, right here on 93 QID. You're like, oh, come on, dude. And then, but they knew when to talk right. They stopped talking right as the lyrics came in. I was like, no, that's not cool. You're ruining that first riff of the song there.
For sure. Moth, what was your memory for what if you hear a song, like what's your first like memory going back?
When I hear the Smashing Pumpkins song Hummer, it reminds me of feeling like I'm 16 years old and how bleak that felt.
What were you doing when you were 16?
Probably figuring out how I could be 18 and escape the perils of my childhood.
Believe me, you don't want to go down this black hole, Robin. Please. Steer clear. Oh, boy.
Hey, there was also a singer named Robin with a Y.
I'll tell
like
you.
me. Do you
I'll tell you
remember her?
that if I ever remember the number of the episode.
Yeah.
We did a Christmas episode a few years back. It's one of my favorite ones. 'Cause I thought we'd be talking about fond memories of Christmas, only to find out that basically his house burned to the ground and all he was left with was coal for the rest of his life to eat too. I mean, it was just like, it was the yin yang. Afterwards, I don't know if you remember this shit. Sorry, Kuka, I still have good memories. I said, I don't know, but the actual podcast was just great. It was great.
I
Because
need to
I'd be
find
here
it
all
over.
pumping about, do you remember this and this? No, we never had that, man. My dad said he killed Santa. Jeez. I mean, any worse? And
Our good friend Brandon, we have real trauma-based conversations, especially around holidays. And we did one, and I couldn't even lift my head up. I was crying, laughing, because it was so sad.
yeah, Brandon was first answering these questions we have here. It was just like we didn't even plan it. I know a lot of people think we probably just planned each question. We just went to the one card after the next. It's a card full of questions, and they were just perfect.
That's so funny.
Unlike the 400th episode where there were swings and misses. But again, we weren't looking ahead, so we just had to go with what we had. But that first one was just, I mean, it was just like, there's a pain spot, and then the next card just rips open another, what just keeps digging into the same wound and ripping deeper. And it's joyful.
You want to share
It's like,
anything
it was like Nantucket fun. That's on the level of fun for us.
I love that.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. What was the other thing?
I didn't know if you want to share any more memories from your songs other than jumping out of Cadillacs.
All right, some other songs real quick. What else you got? You have some
sure.
good ones here. I didn't. I only took a few because I was gonna.
Informer.
Snow.
Yeah.
Okay, boom, boom, down. Which song? Is that who it was?
Yeah.
His
That's
name
great.
is Snow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I like Arrested Development.
What about
Oh,
House
yeah.
of
I think
Pain?
they're another one. House of Pain. Haven't thought about House of Pain in a while.
Remember Vitamin C? Graduation? Did I say that one already?
No.
No.
You remember that? So
What
it was like
was-
a one. It was like. Da-na-na-na. It was like a graduation song, but everybody played it all the time.
Really?
By
The
Vitamin
only
C.
one-
She had orange hair.
Oh, I kind of remember her now.
Yeah.
But I don't remember I don't remember the song Graduation. But
Friends
I remember that.
Forever.
But I remember that class of '99. Here's some.
Yeah.
That wasn't it though, was it?
I
The
think
guy
it was-
talking
Yeah.
through
I
the
think-
whole song.
I think it was.
That was it. If
I-
you know one thing, trust me on the dental floss or whatever it was.
Maybe it wasn't.
Was it that?
have
Because
to
I remember
play
people
it.
played that all the time.
You sound like Richard Nixon.
Well, I mean, it was Richard Nixon doing the whole thing. It was just okay. Vitamin C.
Vitamin C. Yeah.
Okay.
I just remember that. And then, of course, the classic "I Will Always Love You," Whitney, and that's where I
Is that when that comes on? Does your heart
1993. That's my grad year. Was Whitney Houston.
and your heart soars when you hear that?
Bodyguard
today.
soundtrack.
It's
Makes-
fantastic.
Ugh,
My wife is the same exact way. Bodyguard soundtrack is the best.
the best.
Whitney Houston, Kevin Costner, forever,
Forever.
and that song is the apex.
Yes.
Of the. My wife would 1,000% agree with that.
If I could sing like her, that would be my karaoke song every time.
Whoa,
For real.
that'd be your karaoke song.
When's the last time you sang karaoke?
On the cruise ship for last year when I went on a cruise, my youngest daughter graduated from college, and her grad gift was I took her and her sister, and we went with some family and friends and stuff. We went on a cruise, and there was a little karaoke dude in one of the little bar areas, and I grabbed that mic. I did my Wilson Phillips. Hold on. I'm trying
great.
to remember what else we did. I always go back old school. I don't know why I think Amy Grant. Why do I need to? They're like, who? They never know. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone, but yeah, that is a good one. If I could sing that good, my sister sings. She gets so embarrassed because here I am. We'll be at like a place like a little bar area, and I made her sing, and then people listen to her sing, and they're like, wow, is she professional? And I'm like, she leads the praise team at our church. And then she's like, Robin, don't tell people that if I'm here in this little area. But it's just kind of funny. But she sings like an angel. She's like if Jesus and Fergie and just angelic, just,
Jesus and Fergie.
I mean,
Wow.
I think there's a scented candle with their pictures
correct.
on it. Okay, so all right, that's interesting. Thank you for this.
Yeah.
Good suggestions. Folks, what other forgotten, you reminded me of a few. So what are some forgotten artists or bands from the 90s that you enjoyed that people just don't talk about today? They were big back then, but they're not now. Let us know in the comments
We have
below.
one more question for Robin.
And one final question for Robin.
A follow-up question, as one of our friends would say.
Oh, please.
Robin, how many alarms do you set in the morning?
Wow. What a great question.
Well, it depends on the morning, but for the most part, I have several set, to go off because I know it's a 9-minute window from hitting snooze, but then I don't know if I want to go that full 9 minutes. So sometimes I'll do like every 5-minute increments, and I'll do that just to kind of prep me to get up. But it's more like a just don't forget, because sometimes I can see myself hitting the stop button. So I honestly, I like doing like 3 or 4, maybe 6.
Do you have a karaoke song that comes on that wakes you up every morning?
I have the twinkle. I make it real sweet
Oh,
and
okay.
twinkly. Yeah, it's twinkle. It's like just the real soft and soothing, like little angel dust is waking you up. There's nothing dramatic. It's not like a duck or a bark or anything like that. A foghorn. It's like I don't know. It's like Tinkerbell's flying around the room, just waking you up sweetly.
All right. Well, I'm glad we end on that one there. All right, folks. Thanks for coming on, Robin.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
you having you.
Yeah.
Appreciate having you. All right, folks. We'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.